Every morning on his way to school, he passed by a building where a local band practiced downstairs. The sound of drums filled the street, guitars echoed through the morning air, and among the musicians was a boy with messy curly hair and a guitar in his hands. His name was Raihan. The first time Rick saw him, he couldn't explain what happened. There was just something about Raihan. Maybe it was the way he smiled while playing music. Maybe it was the way he looked completely lost in the melody. Or maybe it was simply the kind of feeling that arrives without warning. Whatever it was, Rix couldn't stop thinking about him. From that day forward, every morning became important. He would wake up early, get ready quickly, and make sure he reached that street by exactly 9:20 a.m. Because he knew Raihan always left around 9:30 a.m. Those 10 minutes became the best part of his day. His feelings grew stronger. Then, one morning, while Rix was passing by, Raihan suddenly looked directly at him. Just one glance. But it was enough to send Rix's heart racing. For the rest of the day, he couldn't focus on anything. All he could think about was Raihan. Soon, he found himself imagining impossible things. What if we could talk? What if he noticed me too? Then, one afternoon after school, Rick saw Raihan there again. The next day too. And the day after that. Soon, they were seeing each other every morning and every afternoon. Always from a distance, always silently. Yet somehow, it felt like there was something between them. Deep inside, Rix began hoping that maybe Raihan stayed there because of him. But one day, everything changed. Rix was talking with a close friend when his friend suddenly smiled and she said, "You know the guitarist from that band?" Rix immediately felt nervous. "Which one?" he asked. His friend laughed. "The tall guy with the curly hair, Raihan." The words hit him like a storm. Because Raihan was the boy Rix had secretly fallen for. The reason he woke up early every morning. The reason his heart raced every day. And suddenly, all his hopes collapsed. Maybe Raihan wasn't staying there for him. Maybe he was staying there for his friend. That night, Rix barely slept. The next morning, he didn't go at 9:20 anymore. Instead, he started arriving around 9:40 a.m., just to avoid seeing Raihan. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. His feelings never disappeared. But he tried his best to hide them. Then, something strange happened. One morning, when Rix arrived late, Raihan was still there. That was unusual. Raihan never stayed that late. Rix thought it was probably a coincidence. But the next day, Raihan was there again. And the day after that. And the day after that. Rix couldn't understand it. Why was Raihan staying so long? Months passed. Then one afternoon, while Rix and his friend were walking home together, someone suddenly stepped in front of them. It was Raihan. Rix's heart instantly sank. He was convinced that this was the moment Raihan would confess his feelings to his friend. Trying not to show his disappointment, he prepared himself to walk away. Then he heard a voice. "Rix." His entire body froze. Slowly, he turned around. Raihan was looking directly at him, not at his friend, at him. Raihan smiled softly. Then he asked, "Why don't you come at your old time anymore?" Rix couldn't speak. His heart was beating too fast. Raihan continued, "Why are you always late now?" At that moment, tears filled Rix's eyes. Because suddenly he realized something. Raihan had noticed. All this time, he had noticed. He noticed the boy who arrived every morning at exactly 9:20. He noticed when that boy disappeared. He noticed when that boy started arriving late. He noticed Rix. The entire time. Rix tried to answer, but no words came out. Raihan laughed softly and pulled a flower from behind his back. Then he placed it in Rix's hand. "Come at the old time again tomorrow, okay?" he said. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Rick stared at the flower in disbelief. Meanwhile, his friend stood beside him completely shocked. And for the first time in months, Rix felt genuinely happy. The next morning, at exactly 9:20 a.m., he walked down that familiar street once again. And there was Raihan, waiting, guitar in hand, a smile on his face. As their eyes met, Raihan began playing a soft melody. And somehow, Rix knew that this time, the music was meant for him. From that day forward, every morning felt magical. Because they were no longer two strangers watching each other from afar. They were two hearts that had finally found their way to each other.